Elisha and the widow's oil, a video to fall asleep to. Part 1. A knock at the prophet's door. Good evening, dear listener. Let your breath slow. Let your shoulders drop. Let the quiet wrap around you like a soft blanket. Now imagine a small village, dusty roads, clay homes, a breeze passing between low stone walls. In that village lived a widow. Her name is not known, but her pain is. She had lost her husband, a man who once served the prophet Elisha, and now she was left alone with 2 young sons and a debt she could not pay. The collectors had come. They said they would take her sons as payment. She had nothing left, no silver, no gold, no land. So she did the only thing her heart knew to do. She went to Elisha, not with a demand, but with a cry. "Your servant, my husband, is dead," she said, her voice shaking. "And now the creditor is coming to take my sons as slaves." She didn't ask for much. She didn't ask for wealth. She just asked for help. Elisha looked at her with kindness. He listened, and then he asked a simple question, one that would change everything. "What do you have in your house?" She thought for a moment, and said softly, "Only a small jar of oil." Let that truth rest with you. Sometimes what we have feels too small, too ordinary, but in God's hands, a little becomes enough. Part 2. Gather the jars. Elisha looks at the widow, his eyes steady, his voice calm. He doesn't offer her money. He doesn't tell her to run. Instead, he says something simple, unusual, mysterious. "Go," he tells her, "and borrow jars from all your neighbors, empty ones." And not just a few. It seems strange, gathering jars when all she has is a little oil, but she doesn't question. She moves. She and her sons go door to door. "Do you have any empty jars? May we borrow some?" One neighbor gives a jar, another gives 2. Old clay pots, baskets, bowls. The house begins to fill. Jar after jar stacked on every surface, lined along the walls. Dozens. Still the oil in her home sits in a single small jar. And now the room is quiet. All the jars are there, and Elisha's instructions are clear. "Go inside, shut the door behind you, you and your sons, and begin to pour, not into one jar, but into all of them." Let that truth rest gently with you. Faith sometimes looks like preparing for something you don't yet see. It looks like gathering jars with nothing to fill them, yet trusting that something is coming. Part 3. The pouring begins. The door closes. The room grows quiet. Just the widow, her 2 sons, and a single jar of oil. She holds it carefully. Simple, small, ordinary. She lifts it over the first empty jar, and she begins to pour. The oil flows, smooth, golden, soft as silk. The jar begins to fill, and the oil doesn't stop. Her eyes widen. She nods to her son. "Bring me another." He places the next jar, and again she pours, still flowing, still steady. Another, and another. The oil keeps coming. The widow's hands tremble, not from fear but from wonder. The sons pass jar after jar. Each one fills. Not one stays empty. Not too much. Not too little. Just enough. Again and again. Until finally she says, "Bring me another." And her son answers, "There are no jars left." And just like that, the oil stops. Not because it ran out, but because there was no more room. Let that truth stay with you. God didn't ask her for more oil, he just asked for space. He filled what she was willing to bring. Not more, not less. And it was enough. Part 4. From Empty to Overflow. The room is still. Every jar is full. The oil has stopped. And the widow, she breathes. Not in fear, not in grief, but in awe. What started with one jar has become many. What once was not enough has become more than she ever imagined. She opens the door. Light spills into the room. Her sons run ahead, faces lit with wonder. And she walks back to Elisha, not empty, not desperate. She carries no jars with her, just the news. "The jars are full," she says quietly. Elisha smiles. He doesn't ask how. He knows. Then he says, "Go, sell the oil, pay your debts, and live, you and your sons, on what is left." No strings, no conditions, just provision, just freedom. And the widow who once came with nothing, now walks home with peace in her steps and a future in her hands. Let that truth settle into you. What God gives is not just enough to cover what you owe, but enough to carry you forward. He sees your need, he knows your limits, and he fills the space you make with grace that doesn't run dry until it's time to rest. Part 5. A Quiet Miracle Remembered. The days pass, the oil is sold, the debt is paid, and the fear that once filled the house is gone. No one comes knocking to take her sons away. No one raises their voice at her door. Instead, there is peace, warm bread, a clean floor, laughter in the evening. Not riches, not fame, but enough, and sometimes enough is everything. The neighbors remember, the children remember, but most of all, she remembers. How the oil never ran out until every jar was full. How she trusted when she had nothing but a whisper of hope. How God answered, not with gold but with oil that flowed just long enough. She never forgets that moment, not because it made her wealthy, but because it reminded her she was not alone. And you, dear listener, neither are you. You may feel small, you may feel poured out, but even what feels like only a little can be enough in the hands of love. You are seen, you are known, and what you offer, however small, can become more than you expect. So sleep now. Let the jars rest. Let your heart be still. The miracle has already begun, and the oil will flow as long as you need.